How's it going, guys? Welcome to the very first episode ever of Pokemon Masterclass podcast. Thank you for joining our YouTube channel. I'm Brandon Zero Schmucker, and
I'm Gym Leader Justin.
Welcome to the show. This is on. So this channel is actually going to focus a lot on, obviously, competitive Pokemon. We're going to be talking about a lot of Smogon, VGC, and we're going to be talking about the online ladders in Sword and Shield. And those include singles 3v3 and the VGC doubles format. And our hope for the channel is to be doing a lot of, obviously we're going to be doing this main section of the show, and we're going to hopefully do this and provide this to podcasts as well. And we're going to be doing moveset guides, we're going to be doing showdown laddering, hopefully. We're going to be doing versus battles, grudge matches, and we're going to be doing team building. We're going to try to be doing a lot of the works.
Today we basically want to be focused on sort of a beginner's guide. We want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable. Kind of, why would you get into competitive? What's the difference between just your in-game team of, your starters, whether you have Cinderace, what's the difference between that bunny and a bunny that we would have in competitive? Mm-hmm. Why would you EV it? Why are the IVs necessary? What are they? How to do them? The tips and the tricks, just to get you to dip your toe in the water of competitive. We want to make sure that you feel comfortable,
and you want to beat your friends, right?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
you want to win.
Yeah, we're here to win. That's why we're starting this channel, is to help you win.
Exactly.
Hopefully. But first, another little introduction. As far as we go, I've been playing competitive Pokemon since 4th gen, and I've been playing Pokemon in general since the blue version. So
yeah, basically
second grade.
We're both 90s babies. We both grew up playing Pokes for as long as we can remember. We actually met because of Pokemon in school, 2nd and 3rd grade, and just been friends ever since. The competitive actually started, his cousin got us into it
by whooping on us.
Exactly.
Because he took these steps that we're going to talk to you guys about today.
That's exactly what happened. So we wanted to know, okay, why, his name was Howard, why do you always beat us, Howard? And he opened the door, and this was right around Heart Gold, Soul Silver.
Yep, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, that's where we started. Still the best Pokemon
game
ever.
Still the best. So there is a little bit of news we want to talk about today. This section is going to be kind of small. You want to talk about the one topic so far?
Well, I think before we get into that, the people want to know, what are our favorite Pokemon?
Oh, that's a great way to start it. Okay, yeah, perfect.
And we want to know what your favorite Pokemon are too. So if you're watching this and you get through it, or if you get this far, then leave a comment. Tell us what your favorite Pokemon are and why. It can be for competitive reasons or because you think that
aesthetically,
you could think Swinub is just adorable.
Yep,
and that's
exactly.
That's
perfectly fine.
So yeah, why don't you start us off with your top 3 or 5, whatever.
Well, my number 1 favorite Pokemon of all time, I'm just gonna break Brad right away, is gonna be Sceptile. There's no one else better. He's just the greatest Pokemon ever. If you start with anybody else, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. But yeah, and my favorite Pokemon, I catch a lot of flack for this from a few of my buddies who say, "Oh, you can't choose a legendary," but Mewtwo is my favorite Pokemon.
Yep. Number 1.
Yeah. I being a guy who started in Gen 1 and catching him the first time and just like destroying the game with him, and then he had his own movie, like it was, and then he was in Smash.
Yep.
Like it was just like a recipe for a favorite Pokemon right there.
Exactly. I'm a really big fan of I guess I'd have to say Rillaboom. I'm a big fan of grass types. That's always my grass. I always start with the grass starters every generation, and Rillaboom was a big hit for me. He's a drummer. He's a big monkey. I love monkey type Pokemon, so yeah, he's high up there for me. He's a big winner for 8th gen. Newbie but a goodie.
Yeah, for sure. We'll talk about him a lot.
Oh yeah.
And then another one for me, Alakazam. I really like psychic types. That's a trend that you guys are gonna notice if you stick with the channel and you keep watching stuff. I love psychic types.
He's the psychic master. I'm the grass master.
Yeah. Whenever we do monotype battles, I have to fight myself to not do a psychic team. But I usually do Psychic Team.
Yep, always.
And then one more. Let's give him one more.
I'm going to go with my main man back here, Ludicolo. I love Ludicolo. He's great. I love using weather teams, rain teams especially. I'm a big fan. Ludicolo's a great sweeper. So, all right, so what's your last favorite Pokemon? Your third favorite?
This one is Scizor. I
yeah.
fell in love with him when we started playing competitive because the Swords Dance Bullet Punch, and he's always just looked cool. I mean, like
classic.
Yeah, it's hard to argue that. My picks, I feel like my picks are really fanboy picks, but
no,
I can't help. I can't help what I like, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, so we're gonna start getting into some of the meat and potatoes of this thing. You want to talk about the news? Talk about the most recent ban?
Yeah, there's like I said, there's not a whole lot to talk about except for Urshifu Dark. The Single Strike got banned out of OU for the Smogon tiers. So for people who do already know about the Smogon.com, Smogon University, and their tiering system, the OU is like the premier, like the standard competitive singles ladder.
That's where the big boy Pokemon are.
And Urshifu Dark just got banned, which means now he's only allowed to be used up in Ubers with things like Rayquaza and Mewtwo and Kyogre. Mm-hmm. So he's out of the main chunk of like the standard ladder, so he's not going to be used anymore. What do you think that means, Brandon, for the OU ladder moving forward without this threat?
Things that I think get better. First of all, I think stall teams get a little bit better. He had super effective close combat against Blissey, and Blissey can't protect against Urshifu, so you can't like toxic stall it. That's a common Blissey strategy, is to toxic and then protect and waste turns. He can close combat you through protect because of his ability Unseen Fist. And then other
really strong.
Yep, and then other things that just don't appreciate Wicked Blow because it always is a critical hit. Like Toxapex, if Toxapex switches in on Stealth Rock and takes a Wicked Blow, it usually doesn't want to take another one.
Yeah, that's good. That's in 2-hit KO range for sure.
Yeah, and
regardless of the EV spread, you're probably going down to that.
And before he got banned, a lot of people were teching. They were putting Poison Jab on it to deal with Clefable. So that's three of the biggest stall Pokemon in OU.
The biggest walls of any kind.
Yeah, and he could come in and he can handle them if you decided you were not going to, for some reason, prepare yourself against Urshifu. Yeah. So a specific Pokemon you think that might get better?
Yeah, I think Latios specifically is one that I'm looking at. Being a big Hoenn fan, that's my favorite generation. He's a really premier, whether you're doing Specs, Scarf, you could do Life Orb. He's just a premier offensive threat. And being the Psychic type, weak to that stab Sucker Punch, nobody really wants to sit there and take that. But having that be gone now, I don't know. I really rate Latios and Latias depending on the tier, especially this gen with their inclusion of Mystical Fire and Aura Sphere. It can't be understated how strong it is to have those move coverage added this gen.
Steel types were usually a pretty solid switch in,
big wall
to those dragons, the Psychic dragons, and now because of Mystical Fire,
and we were hoping to get Focus. We were hoping to get Focus Blast, but they gave us one better.
Aura Sphere, Aura Sphere, so much better,
so great.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of safe switch-ins to Latias, especially now with the Dark Urshifu gone.
Yep, those are my picks. Whether you're using Latias or Latios. Both are viable in OU, in my opinion. Latios actually being in the OU tier. That's probably one of my premier picks now that I'm going to be looking at now that Urshifu's non-existent.
Yeah. A few Pokemon that I think are going to get better. I think the first one to talk about is Weavile.
Ooh, yep, that's a great one.
In the Smogon format, you're running a lot of knockoff and stuff like that. And
stab
pretty sure it gets Sucker Punch, doesn't it?
It gets Ice Shard.
Ice Shard, yeah. Yep. But Weavile's going to see a lot of play because he's really fast. He was way faster than Urshifu. I think 120 to 125 base, and Urshifu was 97 base.
Yep.
So
he gets the stab knockoff, which is a really great tech.
Almost like having priority. Because Ice Shard is super effective against things like Dragapult, who is another Pokemon that I think is going to get better.
Yep, that's a great call.
Yeah, because you're not getting sucker punched by because Dragapult has that huge speed tier, and
that was a real nice check.
I mean? It didn't matter with Sucker Punch Urshifu, so you're gonna see Sucker Punch users come up. Dragapult, you're going to see a lot more Dragapult. And
How do you feel about Bisharp, maybe?
Bisharp,
That's a real good
Bisharp
sucker
could
punch
rise.
user.
Yeah, Bisharp could rise up too. A lot of dark Pokemon. A couple ghosts that you should really watch out for. Spectrier.
Spectre's a good one.
He's going to be running rampant now. Without a sucker punch on your team, expect to see a lot more of the Ghost Horse because he can snowball your team with Grimnay. When he picks up a knockout, he gets a special attack boost.
I feel like Aegislash might have some agency on some teams again, too.
Yeah. The Swords Dance, Shadow Sneak variants,
Yep.
and even the special attacking, the Flash Cannons. Those are
Gets Nasty Plot this gen.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So
either side, you could do a mix attacker.
Yeah. Watch out for those. So so I think for singles, that's the most relevant news.
Not a whole lot to talk about right now. We're still in the middle of the month, so tier changes are just kind of what they are right now.
Yeah, come February, we'll be talking to you guys again about
Absolutely.
tier changes and what we think's going to be good and stuff like that.
Yep.
You want to talk about VGC?
Absolutely. So basically what we've been working on lately, besides setting up this first episode, is this coming weekend is the Players Cup 3 tournament, and we've been practicing both on Showdown and on Cartridge ranked ladder for our tournament teams. You want to talk about what team you ended up deciding on bringing?
Yeah. Well, because we're here in Michigan. It basically starts for us tomorrow.
Yep.
So I guess I'm free to talk about my team. I'm running a pseudo Trick Room. I don't think hard Trick Room is very viable right now. So I'm running pseudo Trick Room, and it's centered around Glastrier.
Yep.
Go figure. You're going to see a lot of him, or we're expecting to see a lot of him. I don't think we're going to get this out before people start playing.
No.
So I'm expecting a lot of Glastrier.
I think this should be coming out basically the day the tournament starts.
Yeah, it's going to be out tonight or the day it starts. So I'm running Cresselia to start the Trick Room, and it's got a Culver Berry to
nice.
Specifically counter Wicked Blows and Shadow Balls from
Your Cresselia has some really nice tech I'd like you to talk about.
Oh yeah, I'm running Skill Swap.
Yeah.
Cresselia. So I've got Trick Room, and for those who don't know, Trick Room resets the speed tiers. It flips them backwards, so slower Pokemon go first. So Dragapult's up here in speed, and Cresselia's down here. Well, all of a sudden, Cresselia is moving before Dragapult.
Now, all of a sudden, it flips it. So, essentially, the slowest becomes the fastest.
Yes.
So, things that normally have, like, a base 30 speed, like his Glastrier, the new legendary
The
Ice Horse Pokemon.
45 base speed.
Yep, 45 base speed. Now, all of a sudden, 45 becomes quite fast in comparison to something like Dragapult.
In a Trick Room, you're outrunning Mewtwo. That's a
outspeeding
good thing.
You're outspeeding Sceptile.
Yeah, you're outspeeding Sceptile. So I'm running Skill Swap, actually. And what I use Skill Swap for is if I don't get faked out by Incineroar, I will actually Skill Swap the Incineroar. I'll give them Levitate, which doesn't matter to me because I'm using Close Combat. I've got ways to hit Incineroar on my team. I take his Intimidate, and I reactivate that, and I Intimidate him and his partner. So that's kind of my answer for Incineroar. I mean, part of it. Incineroar is actually really good against my team.
Yep.
But I've taken abilities from people. Like I've taken Lightning Rods from Raichu's, and I've taken.
You've also been able to skill swap away Comfey's to be able to steal Comfey's Triage is really handy.
Yep. So I take away
Comfey's
that
a big
priority. Yep. What was that one I got against you? Oh, I took the Levitate from your Bronzong.
Yep, you took Levitate away from Bronzong and then smashed it with a Max Quake.
Yeah, because I had stolen his partner Pokemon's ability.
Intimidate.
And then I skill swapped it to Bronzong. And then I had Cradley on the side. He doesn't care about Intimidates. And then I hit his Bronzong with a Max Quake. So
with a Max Quake.
So that
Earth Power or Max Quake.
Yeah. So that kind of tech can be kind of fun. And
the skill swap is really nice. It's not on the same level of Ally Switch in terms of...
Which I am packing.
Exactly, so am I. It's not on that level of tomfoolery, but it's definitely some really spicy... it's a thinking man's option.
Yep. And then, like I mentioned, so I'm running Cradley. He's my answer to Coalossal and Dragapult, which
really
is
nice.
Which is the combination
We're
of
both
Pokemon
running
that
Cradley.
Yep, that's the combination of Pokemon that won the Players' Cup 1 and 2.
Yep.
was
2 tournaments in a
Dragapult
row.
Colossal because
Are we expecting to see a lot of these? We haven't actually
Yes.
seen too many on the ladder in practice. I fought a couple on Showdown. I haven't fought a single one on cartridge yet. How have you?
I haven't fought any. Our friend who helped us build this team, Doug, who you'll probably end up seeing on this channel at some point, he's fought a bunch. And the Cradily, the Storm Drain Cradily, if you Dynamax Storm Drain Cradily, you will beat Colossal.
You'll beat Colossal, and if they're running Surf, Storm Drain does not absorb the.
It doesn't absorb all of it.
It doesn't absorb all the water. So you can, if they're running Surf, they can still proc their Steam Engine on Colossal. But if they're running something like an Aqua Jet, there's plenty of Aqua Jet users.
You'll take damage from Colossal, but you won't get KO'd, and you will win that battle.
But the Colossal will not get the Aqua Jet Steam Engine boost. The Aqua Jet will instead go to your Cradily. You'll get the Storm Drain plus 1 special attack. You'll live anything because once you're Dynamax with his max max HP and naturally high special defense, you'll live any hit. There's nothing that a standard Colossal in the meta is going to run that's going to hit you for any sort of damage.
Yep, and then to round out my team, I've got Raichu and Celesteela. It's just a really good core. I'm actually
Really
running
good core.
Assault Vest. I actually, using this, kind of tipped off my friends to how good Celesteela is in this format.
Yep.
I've got Lightning Rod Raichu, so he redirects electric attacks, making Celesteela, pardon me, only weak to fire moves. And I'm using an Assault Vest, so I've got 4 attacks in the Assault Vest. I have it specifically trained to outspeed 100 base Pokemon after a max Airstream. So
It's
that
funny
makes you
you
faster than
mentioned.
Urshifu.
It's funny you mentioned that. So for new players, what do you mean you have specifically trained? So for somebody that might not understand, what we want to talk about today is exactly that. You have a Celesteela specifically tooled to outspeed after what you were saying, one Airstream. So if you Dynamax up, you click Airstream, you get plus 1 speed. You are then tooled with your speed investment in your EVs. How many EVs do you have in your speed?
168.
168. And so then you have max special attack,
Yes.
and then the rest is in HP?
Yes.
HP. Okay.
Yep. So I've bolstered my Celesteela's stats in specific
Nice.
ways. And today we're going to talk to you guys about how you guys can do that.
Yep.
To help you win battles, help you beat your friends.
Yep. So the benefit there is essentially you are outspeeding what you need to, but you're also not over investing. You can then split the difference and get actually quite a bit of bulk because being a steel type, your and her natural
Typing.
her natural typing and stats, she's actually a really bulky poke. And then you add an assault vest.
Yeah.
She's lived quite a few hits in our practice games.
Yeah,
she's
then,
pretty good.
For those who don't know, Assault Vest gives you a special defense boost. So
Plus 1.
if you're using 4 attack moves, which I am, so this is like the perfect mix of, this is a tank. This is a perfect mix of offense and defense.
Yep. I got a League of Legends background. We call those bruiser tanks.
Yep.
Bruisers.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm running.
What moveset are you running on your Celesteela?
I'm running Giga Drain. That helps you deal with things like Gastrodon. Most importantly,
Swampert.
Tapu Fini. Yeah, Swampert. I don't know how much Swampert play we're going to see in the Players' Cup, but he's out there. And
He's definitely
he loves
there.
to put a choice band on and flip turn. And, flip turn your existence. And then I'm running Flamethrower.
Real nice.
Yeah,
Those
that's
max
just good.
flares are really, really helpful.
Yeah, and it helps you counter opposing Celesteela and Steel types, which you otherwise would have a hard time dealing with because my other 2 moves are dual stab moves, which is Steel and Flying.
Steel flying.
And we'll get into stab a little bit later too. So I'm running Flash
helps.
Cannon and Air.
It helps for the. I haven't seen too many. I was running one on one of my practice teams, but the Ferrothorns, the body press, iron defense, Ferrothorns.
Yes. Yeah. Ferrothorn's out there too.
You'll smash it, even if they have max special defense. You'll still.
Trick Room teams like to run Ferrothorns.
You'll still 2-hit KO it with a max flare.
Yep. The last Pokemon I'm running, this is my most proud Pokemon on this team, I would say, is I'm running Gigantamax Grimmsnarl.
Oh, yep.
He's max. He's
Sleeper pick.
Yeah, he's my sleeper pick. Literally my sleeper pick because Gigantamax his signature move is Gmax Snooze, which has a 50% chance of making your opponent drowsy, which will put them to sleep the next turn.
And in VGC, there's no sleep clause.
And there's no sleep clause in VGC, so so things you can put whatever you want to sleep. And then I've got Power Whip on there, which turns into
so
Max
is that
Overgrowth.
instant sleep or how does that work?
So if you make them drowsy, they have a decision to make on the next turn. So they will get drowsy, and if they stay in and decide that they want to attack you or do whatever, they will go to sleep the next turn. It's guaranteed.
So it works like Yawn.
Yeah, it's Yawn. It's basically Gigantamax Yawn.
Nice.
The move. And it's a dark stab move.
Plus a dark damage type.
Yeah, so
really
it hits,
nice.
It 2-hit KOs Dusclops.
Which is really, really nice. Not very many things 2-hit KO Dusclops, which is kind of surprising.
Yep, and it hits things like it hits Dragapults and stuff like that.
Smashes Dragapult.
Yep, he lures in Tapu Fini because of his typing. And because of Snooze, because people will bring in Fini for the Misty Surge so that their friend won't go to sleep. That's when they get Power Whipped with a max adamant. This Grimmsnarl is maxed out in attack plus a Life Orb, which is another item we're going to talk to you guys about later.
So you have max attack. And then what's your other max stat?
Max HP.
Max HP, max attack.
So he functions in and out of a Trick Room. He naturally outspeeds a lot of things, but if something like Dragapult, we're going to talk about him a lot today.
Nice.
If something like Dragapult comes in and you find yourself in a Trick Room, you manage to get the Trick Room off safely, that Dragapult is going to go to sleep one way or another. It's going to faint or it's snoozing.
Yep.
So
yeah, I like your team. It's really solid. Playing against it in our practice games, we've had. I would honestly say your Raichu Celesteela is by far the kind of the not necessarily the linchpin, but it was like definitely the happy surprise factor for me.
Yeah, it's kind of an X factor. Like I said, I kind of tipped them off, Justin and my friends, about how powerful that combination is.
Yep.
Because
we're fortunate enough to have a nice little gaming group. We've got a couple of people.
Doug's team, unfortunately could not break through because he's changed his team since to be something a lot better than what it was, but his team could not break through the Celesteela because it was just so bulky and had so many special attackers. So.
Exactly. If you don't have a fire type, like he said, because of the Raichu soaking up the electric types, Celesteela is only naturally weak to electric and fire. So with that lightning rod ability as a partner, he's only weak. So Incineroar is a real big crux, but outside of that, there's not a whole lot in the popular meta that is a big threat. Maybe Cinderace, but we haven't seen a whole lot of Cinderace in our practice games.
He'll be out there, but I haven't.
I've been really surprised at how little we've seen because leading up to Players Cup 2 practice, Cinderace was
I lost to so many Cinderace, and I ran a Sun team, which actually ended up being worse for me because I powered up his fire moves.
Exactly.
And he would just airstream and blast the rest of my team. But you want to talk about your team really quick before we get into our subject today?
It was kind of a roller coaster. I had 3 or 4 different teams. I think we went with. I was working with a Salamence Comfey. I worked with Gudra Comfey, mixed with a either a Banded Swampert or a Yawn 3-attack Swampert. It did pretty well, but it had some weaknesses. So what I ended up landing on was actually I was just at work and we were slow one night, and I ended up thinking about it. I was like, I haven't made a good VGC sand team. I love weather, so I've made one of every weather team.
We'll probably do a whole episode just on weather teams.
Oh yeah. And I ended up coming up with a VGC sand team that I kind of liked on paper, and it had originally Sandaconda, who's since been withdrawn from the list for the tournament.
Didn't see any use.
Yep. And but ended up landing on this team. It centers around it's kind of got a weird core. You could just it's kind of a toolbox sand team. But it does center around Trick Room. I've got 2 setters. I've got Bronzong and a Dusclops. The Dusclops is pretty standard, max physical wall with Eviolite. And
you'll see a lot of that if you're playing Players Code.
Yep.
We are expecting a lot of that.
And that's kind of how I maximize its potential is putting max physical investment into the defensive side, and then plus the Eviolite as the item, because it's not fully evolved, it gets a +1 to both defenses. So it's got a +1 special defense, a naturally high special defense, and max HP. So it's bulky on the special side.
One of the bulkiest Pokemon out there.
Yep. And then very bulky on the physical side with the Eviolite boost and all those defensive EVs. It really comes in. You can run specially defensive Dusclops, but I feel like there's more physical threats in the meta.
Urshifu Dark.
Yep. And being able to live those hits is kind of essential. So yeah, my Dusclops is Pain Split, Will-O-Wisp, Bulldoze, and Trick Room. And then my Bronzong is actually kind of a sleeper MVP. I've been really pleased with Bronzong.
Yeah.
He's got max HP, max defense, levitate, and as his ability, which is really nice. It means he's basically only weak to what would that be? Dark, Ghost, and Fire.
Yeah, with levitate. Yeah.
Yep. It's really nice. It was really good defensive typing, being Steel Psychic in that area, in that situation. The moveset I've got on there is Iron Defense, Body Press, Trick Room, and Gyro Ball. It's got 0 speed and hindering nature, so actually in a Trick Room it's going first most of the time.
We'll talk about natures in a minute too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about basically why natures, or how natures and IVs and EVs and how you can maximize the potential of all your Pokemon. Like I even said it, I maximize the defensive potential of my Dusclops. That's the goal of that Pokemon on my team, is to be the damage soak.
Yeah.
And then
it does a good job too.
Yep. So those are my 2 defensive core, basically. You can take them together, you can take them separate, but they start up the Trick Room. They soak hits. There's just really good utility. Then I've got I almost said White Herb. I've got Power Herb, Cradily.
Yep. You did put White Herb on
I did
on
accident. My very first practice game.
He gave me a free turn while he powered up his Cradily to get hit with a close combat by the horse or something.
And that's the key, is that to be a Pokemon master, it's not about how long you've been in the game. It's about the fact that how much love you put into it, and the fact that you don't get tilted. You got to keep coming back tomorrow and keep
there's
trying.
There's so much trial and error.
Yep.
To getting better, there's a lot of trial and error. You're gonna learn a lot of stuff.
And sometimes you learn things the hard way.
We still learn things every day.
Every single day.
Some of it is mistakes, but yeah, we still learn stuff.
Yep. And that's the funnest part, is learning something new, or refreshing your memory. Like, oh yeah, I forgot that's how that ability worked. That's perfectly fine. That's why we do practice games before the tournament.
Yeah. Nice.
So with Cradily as my one of my main offensive threats, it's got negative speed nature, 0 speed IVs, which means it's as slow as it can possibly be. So as we talked about before, in a Trick Room, it will now be going first a lot of the time. You flip those speeds around, so who's ever slower is going first instead of who's going.
Yeah.
Or instead of who's faster.
Trick Room's a great way to, if people want to run these run fast, hit hard teams.
Yep.
Trick Room is the perfect way to stop those.
It's a really nice source of speed control in VGC.
Yeah.
And we are actually both bringing it on our teams.
Yeah, it's strong.
It's very strong. So the Cradily has Power Herb, Meteor Beam. So what Meteor Beam does, it's a new move from the Isle of Armor DLC. We get it for 5 Armorite. It's one of the move tutor moves in the dojo. So what Meteor Beam does is, normally you would take 1 turn to charge, kind of like Solar Beam outside of the sun, and you would charge up that turn, but instead what Meteor Beam does, it also boosts your special attack by 1 stage.
Yep.
And then the next turn it fires off a rock, so it's a rock type special move. And what Power Herb does is, instead, it allows you to charge and fire all in 1 turn, but it's a one-time use consumable item. So with that, in the trick room or outside of it, depending on the situation, the Cradily comes in and clicks Meteor Beam, soaks up the Power Herb, gets the boost, and then fires off a +1 stab Meteor Beam and does a lot of damage with that max quiet special attack.
A lot more damage than you think.
A lot of damage, and it's a big sleeper. People don't understand how bulky Cradily is with just max HP and the natural defensive and special defensive, just without any effort values put into either one. Just max HP and max special attack. Cradily can live a lot. Obviously, the Dynamax candies come in real handy.
Yeah.
If you Dynamax the Cradily out, then you get things. The Giga Drain becomes Overgrowth, and Earth Power becomes an extra special defense boost.
On top of Sandstorm.
On Quake.
We'll talk about that when we get into weather teams. We'll talk about the benefits of Sandstorm.
Absolutely. And then to round out the team, my main source of Sandstorm starting is a max HP, max attack, Brave Nature, so that's plus attack and minus speed, Gigalith. And he's got Sandstream as the ability, so he starts the Sandstorm just by coming into the battle, and it's really nice in VGC because there's a lot of weather, whether it's from people Dynamaxing or bringing things like Torkoal, Ninetales, Alolan Ninetales,
Pelipper,
Politoed, lots of weather starters. So being able to just switch something in and instantly shut off whatever combo they've got going on. On top of that, you're breaking Sashes, you're breaking some Sturdies if they're not a rock or steel ground type. Being able to then also proc its weakness policy, because he's a good pair with my Dusclops. He's got weakness policy base 135 physical attack, so he's really powerful. Gigalith is really underrated. And I've got Stomping Tantrum, which turns into Quake, Iron Head for Steel Spike, so I've got both defensive boosts, and then I've got Rock Slide, obviously is my doubles choice, so then obviously if I'm small, I can hit potentially both opponents in one turn of stab. And then my last move is just Protect. It's really nice.
Yeah, you need Protect on your doubles teams.
Really good tech.
You want to use that to waste opponents' turns.
Absolutely.
I think 100%. We'll talk more about that a little bit later too.
And then to round out the team, I've got an Assault Vest Primarina with Aqua Jet, so that way I can priority start my own Storm Drain boost Cradily.
In case he doesn't have time to do the Meteor Beam thing, if he needs a really strong Giga Drain. That's
or you could Dynamax turn 1 and to soak up an opponent hit and Aqua Jet in and get the +1 that way. You could if somebody's not set up correctly, whether it's early or late game, you can use the Aqua Jet to boost a Cradily on top of the Power Herb Meteor Beam boost, so you get a +2 in one turn. So that Meteor Beam is coming off incredibly strong. Because all these boosts apply before the move actually fires. And then it also has Liquid Voice as the ability, so that way I can use Hyper Voice to spread water. And then Dazzling Gleam to have the dual stab, another spread move. Blizzard, another spread move. It's just a really nice bulky max HP, max special attack with Assault Vest. Really nice bulky. I haven't, honestly, in 30 or 40 practice games, I haven't Dynamaxed it once, but you totally could. You absolutely could Dynamax that.
You could. I used it on my Series 6 team from
a
couple months ago, and I had the weakness policy version, and
so did I.
I won so many games with that.
It was great. And then the last poke is the bane of your team's existence.
Incineroar.
I actually am copying his idea. So originally my Incineroar was max or close to max speed and max physical attack. It was kind of the more offensive glass cannon sort of build. But what I since have done is max attack, max adamant attack, 96 defense, and 166, I believe it rounds out to HP. And then you want to talk about the power of offensive Incineroar or the sleeper kind of threat, because people don't really expect that. What is the normal Incineroar?
The normal Incineroars usually got Snarl, Parting Shot, Fake Out, and probably Flare Blitz.
Or Will-O-Wisp, maybe. You might see.
Will-O-Wisp if they're not running it on their Dusclops.
Might be it. But once in a while you'll see a Banded set, but usually they're pretty tanky.
Yeah, they're usually tanky, and this kind of is in the same vein as my Grimmsnarl. When people see Grimmsnarl, they don't think that he's going to come out and start wailing on you.
They think prankster screens, usually, but that's a singles thing a lot.
Yeah, they'll leave stuff in, not expecting this offense. And Grimmsnarl has a base 120-something special or a physical attack, and Incineroar's got like a base 115 with a really powerful stab combination. So people
and Fire
they'll just leave it
really
in.
Strong.
They'll just leave it in on Incineroar, and all of a sudden they're taking really, really strong. If you make an offensive build like Darkest Lariats, Flare Blitzes, you run Drain Punch.
Yep.
I think he learns close combat.
Yep.
He's got a really nice moveset.
A really nice
and
move.
Being able to Dynamax him. People will not expect that. That's
what got you a lot in our practice was. I've won games off of that multiple times. He's the sleeper pick in my team.
I'm conditioned to not expect Incineroar to Dynamax. And when he Dynamaxes on me and he max flares me...
because on the ladder, you don't see that ever.
No. So you're in a surprising position all of a sudden, and you were not expecting to face this giant cat. And here it is. He just max flared you.
That's one of my favorite parts about having a gamer group with so many with us Pokemon Masters is the fact that we can talk about this. I'm like, you're the one who gave me the knowledge that you're not used to seeing Dynamax or offensive threats from Incineroar as often.
Yeah.
And then you're the one running this offensive, and the same thing with Grimmsnarl. You're running the Life Orb. So I took that and I ran my spread with Incineroar, and I have max attack with Life Orb Incineroar. And he's got Fake Out, Flare Blitz, Drain Punch, and Parting Shot. Parting Shot mixed and Intimidate with his ability. The mixture of Intimidate and Parting Shot has won me more games than probably... Like, him Dynamaxing has won me a lot of games because it's a real sleeper. But the Intimidate Parting Shot combo has won me more games because it shuts down every single like, it shuts down Glastrier because I can Drain Punch it, I can Flare Blitz it, Intimidate, Parting Shot. I can Fake it out if it doesn't want to Dynamax, like depending on the game state.
High horsepower, that's the only thing you gotta watch out for. Maybe close combat.
But after one if it doesn't have the Chilling Neigh already set up or the weakness policy, if I Intimidate it, he cannot one shot because I have some defensive and HP investment. He can't one shot me with anything.
I was on the ladder yesterday and fought an Incineroar that between a couple Intimidates and Parting Shot had my Gigantamax Grimmsnarl down to like a quarter of its attacking potential because of all of these things. So Incineroar.
It was really brutal. And Incineroar is that key. It can pivot. It can the Fake Out is an insanely powerful tool.
Wasting opponents' turns is really important.
Wasting opponents' turns while also doing like 50% of their health to their squishies because it's a max adamant Life Orb. Yeah. I got that tech from my Rillaboom. I will talk about that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my team. It's pretty standard in terms of like the Dusclops Bulldoze weakness policy setup, but there's a lot of secret tricks with the offensive cat and the Cradily that nobody really expects or knows how it works.
We're going with a surprise factor this
time. It's kind of funny how it works because everybody in our gaming group that's participating in the tournament this weekend is bringing Cradily on their team.
Yeah, we're all so worried about Torkoal.
Yeah, exactly.
So that covers the Players' Cup 3.
Yep, I'm really excited.
I think that starts for us tomorrow or Friday. I'd say we're ready for that. So I think with all of that, we are going to step away and take a little break for a second. We're going to grab drinks and stuff. We're going to cut it all out so you guys don't have to take a break. But when we come back, we're going to get into a lot of the beginner stuff. Now that we've covered a lot of maybe more advanced stuff, we're going to talk about the advantages to having competitive Pokemon. We're going to talk to you a little bit about how to get those. We're going to talk about resources for team building and how you can play if you don't have a Switch.
The essentials.
If you don't have a Switch and you don't have Sword and Shield, well, there's still ways to play. And we're going to talk to you about those when we come back from the break. See you there.